I get all nervous.
Hey everybody, it's Mighty Monday and I'm here with Sister Jackie and Brother Rudy Palmerin from Victory Outreach Riverside. And they're going to share their testimonies. Sister Jackie's going to go first, then Brother will go second, and they're going to come together when they met and what the Lord has done in their life. Amen. So be blessed. Tag somebody, share it, and God bless you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Sister Jackie from Victory Outreach Riverside. I get the privilege and honor of sharing a little about myself. So, we grew up in Orange County, Santa Ana. We had a good childhood. Dad brought in good money. Mom was good. We had a good childhood. We went camping every year. We did all the fun things, skating with all our cousins out there. As we got older, when we came to Riverside in '79, things started to change. I was about 12 years old, and Dad started tapping into more, doing more drugs and heroin addict. My mom started drinking more because she was lonely. She was left a lot alone, and so me and her, we would go to Orange County every weekend, and I think about 13, 14, I started taking off a lot more because I didn't like coming home. It was, it was kind of sad for me, and I just started rebelling on my own. I just rebelled. My mom, they were good parents, so good. Like my dad, no matter what, my dad took care of us. He always was there for us. But on my own, I just started rebelling and not coming in. I ran away at 14 for about 3 weeks. When I did come home, I was pregnant. I didn't know at first, but I had my daughter at 15. A few months later, I turned 16, but I had her, and me and Josie just hung out, and I always had her with me. And at one point, I started going out too much. I think at 17, started using PCP, speed, just going out and leaving her for days with my mom, take off on my sister's car, wouldn't come back for days. I didn't care. I just did whatever. And then I'd take Josie. We'd go all over. And I'd be partying. She'd be running around at the park. And one of my friends, we hung out all the time. They just ran around while we got high. And so that's just kind of what I did. Run the streets. Like to be with, go out. We went out everywhere partying, and back then we just partied a lot of dances, parties, different things going on, and I was just kind of living my life and enjoying it, and so I thought, during that time we grew up in church. My grandpa would pick us up and take us. All of us cousins, Mom and them would be all partied out the next morning, and Sunday he would come and pick us up, or a church bus, and we all get in there with our hair all messed up and dirty little faces. But we went to church every Sunday, and so even at that time we went to Victory Outreach Santa Ana when we were maybe 7, 8, and we came back. When we went to Riverside, we would go to a small little church there in Rubidoux, and Sunny Slope, and my mom and us would go because, she always knew, like, we needed God. So we grew up, we learned the Lord's Prayer, all these things, Psalms 23 when we were young. She taught us all these things, and I want to say that I knew who God was, but I guess at 17, I did surrender my life for about a year, and then I just started doing my own thing again. So that was there in Rubidoux at Victory Outreach. Then I backslid all those years. 18, I started going to jail, and I go in and out, and come home. My sister would end up with my kids or my mom. So I just, learned the hard way, always the hard way. Always looking for something different in life, and by 91, I was on my fourth kid. I went to prison, and I got 3 years, but I did 18 months, came out, and I still partied. I got off parole in a year, so I did good by that. And then I want to say that that in 90, all those years, so from 94 to 2001, I was just so hooked on my drugs. I was in 2001, I was on my 7th pregnancy, and then I find out they're twins at 7 months, because I waited forever to go to the doctors, and I just felt like everything was falling apart at that time, and it truly was. I didn't know what I was going to do. Me and my older daughter at times were partying together. I would send her to go pick up, or she would come ask me if I had anything. It was just bad. It was getting bad. It was ugly. My home was not good. I remember getting ready, telling the kids we were going to go to be ready. We were going to go to the store. I had it planned to take them, but by the time I got out of the room or got done getting ready, it was 3 a.m. They were passed out on the floor, their feet just with their shoes on, and just waiting. They waited all night for me, and they were probably hungry, because by the time I did come out of that room, it was way past, and I would feel so bad. And at that time, things were eating me up. I had the twins in 2001, and during that time, I just felt so bad, and I didn't want to face my feelings, so I would just get more high and more high. And during these times, CPS would come in, either the school or a neighbor would call, but they would just leave, and to my sister. My sister called, and it was the worst. I didn't know who at first called. I was so angry, so mad, and they stepped in, and it was the senior CPS guy of Riverside, and he came in, and he ended up just telling me, hey, I'm going to pull these kids away. He made me move. Actually, I had to leave that day out of my house because it was so bad. Everything was just so bad. And I couldn't keep them all with me. My sisters took my older daughters. I had 5 little ones with me. We went to stay with my 4 little ones' grandma. She took care of us. She helped us. They put me in emergency housing. And at that point, the apartment was very tiny, so 5 little kids that were 5 years old down to the babies who were like maybe 7 months old. So they were all would cry and whatever. So we would go out. They never told us anything, but we were raised like, oh, watch your kids, don't make noises at people's house. So I would take them out all day, and I remember thinking, I would call my friend Iris. I'm like, Iris, can you pick me up, take me to church, just to get out of the apartment, to give them space. And so she picked us up. We go right there to Bobby Bonds, and one day I made the altar call, and but I actually didn't think like I was really saved, I guess, because sometimes you say a prayer, but you weren't. Like, you go and do the same thing. And that day, I remember feeling different, and I left, and this was in October of 2001. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember leaving coming home, and I tried to get high, and I couldn't get high. I tried to drink a beer, I couldn't drink a beer. I could no longer do the things that I used to do, the relationship I was in, and I didn't understand, but God was doing something. Right before this probation, CPS wanted to take, they kept telling me give up my twins. There was too many kids for me to give them up while they were babies and they would be okay. And I kept saying, no, I let me try and do this. Let me try. And then maybe I would consider it. And God did what he had to do. He saved me right then and there. And I don't know, and I kept praying and crying because I wasn't going to get a place till January 2002, and housing had told me, and I told God, I need my place, and he gave me, out of the blue, a few weeks later, I got a phone call that they had an opening in the housing, if I could get there that day at that meeting, and within a few weeks, so November, I got a packet to go get my house. Couldn't find no house in Riverside, none whatsoever, none in Moreno Valley. They kept telling my sister, take her to this house in San Jacinto, and I was like, I don't even know where that place is. And we drove out there, and I remember going down Long Highway, Gilman Springs, and thinking, what am I going to do out here with 7 kids? And, you know, I have 8 total. Josie was already married. And go, what am I going to do with all these kids? And no car, nothing, no family. And we went, Pastor Chris had gave me a number to the Victory Outreach in Rivers, Hemet, and gave them my number. So anyhow, we went to look at this house, and this house was like 4 years old, big 2-story home. We were approved for a 5-bedroom, but it was a 4-bed. But he used this brand new home for us for 6 months only. So my first big trial was when they told me I had to move, that they were putting it for sale. But not too long right after, God sent me to this big 5-bedroom. He had it all set up. That same week, I told God, I'm going to be in church, and I didn't know which church. Victory Outreach hadn't called me. There was a church down the street. I told the kids, well, we'll walk there. It was about 1.5 miles away to get to a bus stop. So we were going to go to church. But back then, they had the newspaper on Saturdays. You could open it up, and they would have all the churches posted in your city. So I found a church, and they came and picked me up the next day. And it was a small church, but that's where God grew me. I had one-on-one with their pastors. His wife, she taught me how to be a mom. She taught me how to dress, everything that I needed to learn as a mom, as a woman that just came off of drugs all these years, who didn't take care of nothing but only herself, her selfishness, how to teach the kids, everything I needed to learn, how to cook, budget, everything I needed, they taught me. I would go to church on Sundays and come home, and they would call me up. We're on our way to pick you up. And I'd be like, no, I just went to church. And they're like, oh no, we're going out for a potluck. And I was like, oh man. So anyways, every Sunday, I never got to come home because I just wanted to go home. So they would take us out, and every Sunday was fellowship. They had women's prayer, all kinds of different things. And God just moved in that church, in that area of my life that I needed. He separated me from every friend, everyone I needed. There was no one around me. Little by little, my dad got out of prison. He came and lived with me. My dad got saved. He served God at the same church, and my brother went out there, and his wife, they served God. My sisters, everybody was serving God. And we ended up in 2010. In 2009, my dad got real sick. And so I was going to come back to Riverside to help move. My pastors blessed me out. And we came to Riverside. I knew I was going to come back to Victory Outreach Riverside. And got involved with ministry right away, children's ministry and missionettes, and I was so blessed. Like I just always, that's where I've been. I'm a teacher. So anyhow, we were there, and I moved in February 2010. On the 2nd of February, my dad passed away. So God had a different whole kind of plan, and so this is where I've been, and he's just taking care of everything I've done. I want to say, if you're a single mom and you have kids and you're having a hard time, maybe you've lost them even, maybe they're in the process of anything, I say is hold on to God and fall in love with him. He will take care of every need. My kids were never without. I don't know how or what, because I don't even know. I hardly had money, but we went to school. I had housing. God took care of me in his ways, and those kids were so blessed. Like, they were dressed very blessed. I put him first. I fell in love with him, and God took care of everything. I didn't lose my kids. I could have. I was at a thin line, but I gave him my all. And when it came to Riverside, the same thing, just being faithful to God. It wasn't, just coming, serving God, loving God. And so here we are in Victory Outreach, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rudy Palmerin from Victory Outreach Riverside, and I just want to share about my testimony. I grew up in the neighborhood of Casablanca, and my family, we were all close. All of me and my brother, I have five brothers and one sister, and we had a real good upbringing. My mom and dad just took care of us. My mom always cooking for us. My dad always working hard for our family, providing. We lived right there in the corner of 3104 Madison for all our life. Even to this day, he's still there, and I'm so grateful for that. I know as we were growing up, we're Catholic, so we went to St. Anthony's Church. So I learned about a reverence for the Lord, that He's God, and that to learn my prayers and everything. And I was going constantly. I went all the way to my first communion, confirmation. Learned about the scriptures through that life way of Catholicism. And I just later on I started kind of hanging around the neighborhood with friends and getting in mischief, neighborhood friends and stuff, and started smoking over there, and ended up the church I was going to, San Anthony, I ended up smoking under the stage over there with my cousins and stuff, and getting involved with different things going on there, and drinking my dad's beer, stuff like that. And as I got older, I got into hanging out at the neighborhoods, gangs, like the Vengadores. I remember back in the day, I used to hang out with them, and when it was just starting out, me and my friend Vito Campos were kind of like talking about it. He led it and pretty much got involved with that, but then didn't really continue with it. Started hanging around with other friends too, and kind of try to keep neutral with the neighborhood, because our neighborhood was still kind of at that time I didn't notice of the divide in our neighborhood. It was two sides in our neighborhood, and I got along with everybody in the neighborhood. I talked to all my friends, family there on both sides. And as I got to about 17, I had been doing side jobs and stuff, working and trying to keep busy, making money, and helping my family, doing lawns and stuff like that. But I kind of strayed away from the church. I didn't go no more to St. Anthony's no more. I started getting caught up more with hanging out with the gangs and stuff, with the Vengadores, and then I was going to Ramona at the time, Ramona High School, and just doing my own thing there, just hanging out with the guys at the A, kicking back, chilling with everybody, and I remember a lot of good friends back then that are no longer around anymore. It's sad, but that were cool people, that were leaders, that were like trying to show the way, the right way. But I know, like, I remember a friend of mine named Mon. He would always tell me, just be yourself, man, be yourself, because a lot of times as we're young, we try to fit the place where you're at, try and follow, not be leading, you be a follower, not a leader. But I remember that guy Mon, and he was a good friend. But as later on I started, getting more involved with the VGs, and then I got kicked out of Ramona, and because Ramona High School was one side of town going there, I got kicked out and had to go to Arlington High School. So now I was on the other side of town now, and it was a whole other story there. It was cousins there, like I said. I have cousins on both sides, and it was I liked it. It was like a whole other thing going on there, and I started hanging around with the originals and started being they would come around more than my friends in the VGs, and it just started getting like a little bit problems. Like I know at my mom's house, we started having fights at the house, like with both clubs just meeting in the grass area and just throwing down, and we liked that. That was cool, just throwing down with fists and stuff. But it was like a weekend thing to do, and then nobody ever had nothing but throwing blows with fists. At that time, this was about like in the 70s, 80s, we're getting early 80s, not even 80s, 70s. It was the 70s. But I know that through that I learned about clicas, how they are, because clicas are like something that when you get into it, you're kind of like you made a choice to hang out with a certain crowd, and they're kind of, and I learned that they try to tell you who you're going to be hanging around with, and that started happening because I had to go to another school, so I wasn't really around my old friends, like I would say that. I'll just say old friends, and then I started having new friends. So I was trying to be friends with everybody, but it's, at that time it was like the new friends started coming out around more than the old friends, and I cared for both of them, but I just felt like they were around more. So as time came around, I stopped, hanging around with the VGs and no more. Didn't hang around with them, just the OGs, and then just because we're neighbors right there, we're close to each other. We still seen each other, say what's up and all that, no problems. Everything was cool. It was just something new, it was something happening fresh for me, And then what ended up happening, just like I remember some friends of mine, they really got caught up. It was the two sides at my house. It was pretty crazy. It was like this fight wouldn't stop. It started in the day and it didn't end until late at night, and it was pretty crazy. It was like a forever fight. Two of my friends are gone now. They're gone to be with the Lord, and I hope they're with the Lord, because I know that to be with the Lord you have to be saved. And I just pray. I know one of them was in church with me back in the day when I started going, but the other one I don't know about him. I just know that I hope and pray he is saved. But the thing about it is, it was just something that I just started seeing like at a young age. Like, man, I don't want to be in this club or that club. I want to be just myself and talk to whoever I want to talk to and be where I want to be. But something you have to, I had to learn, but it couldn't happen like that, because sometimes people treat you different. Like you go to their house and, but they'll probably act different with you. Like, oh, that you're, not to be trusted or something, because you have friends over here, friends over here. And it is true, because I remember going to one of my cousin's houses, and I would visit her a lot, and one day I was going to go to her house because she felt not safe that day, and something went down that day. She ended up passing, and I guess she just felt someone in her heart that something happened to her, and I just felt sad because I know I wasn't there for her that day, but I know that I believe God always has some way of putting another road for you to go, and maybe you didn't want, maybe sometimes we fight it, but somehow God just has his way, and I was able to still be here right now, and I just thank God because I was able to be there for the family and everything, and it's just sad, a lot of death in my community where I grew up, a lot of sad things happen. People, I could stay at the cemetery all day long if I go visit everybody, and it's just sad, but as now, I just started coming around the neighborhood and started getting jobs in here and there, and I remember working for Fritz Ford at a time. And then some stuff went down at the house, because, like, my house, we grew up in a good way. All of us have respect. But when the drugs came in, I started using drugs. Started using speed. At first, I used PCP, and then speed, weed. And I just started learning, like, man, started acting all funny at the house. My brothers started fighting with them. We had an incident at the house where the cops had to come. I got kicked out. I was living on the street for a little while, and CB but not really in the street. I had friends out there from all around. So I was living here, there, here, and but it was sad. I was reading for Fritz Ford, and I remember my mom looking for me because I had got kicked out, and I remember being at my friend's house and just like saying, no, just tell her I'm not there, because I know moms are important. That I learned now. I thank God that I was saved to see my mom the way, in a saved way, because I know before, when I was lost, I didn't care about nothing but myself. But I just know that, little things happen. A lot of things happen through drugs, and I know I didn't like that drug addiction anymore. I started getting busted, going in and out of jail. I remember going to Orange County one time, getting busted with some friends. You know, going in and out in San Bernardino, getting busted in San Bernardino, getting busted in CB. I remember the last time in CB, I was in walking around the neighborhood because I used to like to sell dust back in the day, and it was a drug back in the day that people used to smoke. But I really didn't really sell it. I just smoke it with everybody. So I had my plan for the day: just go around the whole neighborhood and smoke it. And so I would go here, break out there, break out there. But one day I got stopped by officers right there in the neighborhood, right there in front of my job where I work now. But I got stopped right there, and they stopped me, and I got pulled over. I had to put my face to the floor, and just like threw me down, and they just took me in. And that day I got taken in, I was still thinking, I was like, man, I gotta get out. I had some stuff still put away at the house to sell, because I was all caught up in drugs, you know, just doing my own thing and just selling and smoking. And just all, you know, real lost out there. And I remember, like I was saying about my friend that was fighting. We went to church back in '79, but you know, I heard about Jesus. I had a Bible given to me, but really I didn't open it to read the scriptures to really know Him as I know Him now. And but I remember going and seeing the baptisms and hearing the testimonies. I remember one time with my friends having stuff in my pockets, going to Victory Outreach on Lincoln. I walked in one time hearing a guy testify about his heroin use and how God changed his life, and you know, kind of laughing it off, like, oh, you know, on the back row, way in the back. And I know the seed was planted that in that place, even in the place in '79 at the Baptist church, where God was starting to do something and starting to help me. When I last got taken in that day, when I told you I got taken in, I got taken in there because I had been busted on and off. And what it was kind of crazy because back then you got a slap in the hand for a lot of things. You got like away with a lot of stuff. It was like, oh, that, okay, you got road camp or not, or maybe you got doing Caltrans. And it was just some little things that weren't really big. But this last time I got busted, I was gonna get 2 years in prison, what they told me. And I was in the cell, just like, man, you know, this is crazy. And I was just admitting, I had friends in there that I knew from the east side and from around. I got along with all the neighborhoods, and I had a friend named Ruben, and we were talking to each other right through the door, and just saying, hey, I'll see you. I'll catch the train later on. I probably won't catch it tonight, but tomorrow or something. But somehow at court the next day, I was in court, and at that time the court was closed down because they were doing some renovations, and it was at a mortuary. Trip out on that, a mortuary, and it was really like the walls were so like trippy because when the judge would talk, it would be like you couldn't even understand it because it would be like an echo or muffled or something. So I know my sister went with me, and well, she went to see me there. I wasn't with her, but I was in the orange uniform or the jumpsuit. So I was there just hearing, and I thought I was hearing like, oh, what, you know, and then I just remember saying yes sir, no sir, and then I went back to my cell and I called home, and I talked to my sister. I go, what'd they say? She goes, you got a year, and I got a year in Riverside, well, Banning Road Camp. So instead of doing the 2 year, I got a joint suspension, and I ended up going to Road Camp, which I never had went to before. I heard about it, but I went to that, and I really, I was all like, wow, you know, that's heavy. And I went and got there and just started like, you know, before I even went there, I went to the Robert Presley Center. This is where something great happened to me. I was in there for a while because this happened like in '91. I was about 26, going on 27. And I had been like in the jail for a while, just talking and hearing about the word, and people in my cell. I had a heroin addict in my cell. I had a heroin dealer in my cell. So it was pretty crazy, you know, because I had never used heroin. I almost was close to using it one time, but I thank God my friend told me what it was, so I stopped. I stopped and didn't get a chance to touch it, thank God. But I prayed for those that use it, though, that God's able still to deliver you. But I wanted to say this, though, that day when I was in that cell, I started hearing about the word, praying, crying out to God, you know, saying, Lord, you know, I don't know, you know, even before I got the joint suspension, I was praying, Lord, you know, whatever, you know, because something happened where I started reading, something started stirring me up. But that Christmas of that year, some church came in. I don't know what church it was, but they came in with a lot of like cookies and little boxes of stuff and cards to send home. And they were like sharing it to all of us in that tier. They said, hey, you know, we got one more gift for you. The best gift you're ever going to get. And right away I thought, oh, they're going to put money on my books. But it wasn't that. it was Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And I asked the Lord in my life that day in that cell, and the next, even instantly, the Lord did something. My whole attitude changed. Even the people in the cells were like tripping out. Why are you smiling for? You know, you're in jail. I just would just say, you know, I didn't know what to tell them. I was just like happy because I got saved. So we started. A couple other guys got saved, so we started meeting on the chair and sharing the word. What we knew, we're like, oh, what's this? What's this? You know, putting out little things, trying to get it together, and I thank God for that because it was a start of something in my life. Because I know that God did something in my heart. I really asked Him. I was tired, and I asked Him in my life, and He, you know, He got a hold of me in that jail cell. And after that, later on, I got sent to Banning, and took the train or the bus over there. And what ended up happening, I got there, and then we all got through there, got our little places, and then right away, people started coming up. Hey, you know, we're gonna smoke something out here, or we're gonna do this out there. So it started coming my way, and I was like thinking, like, and I was still reading, still praying, and asking God to help me, and it was powerful because through that, I think about at least half of the barracks, because it's barracks over there in Banning. Half the barracks was in a circle praying, and I was in that circle too praying. And I remember it was funny one night, we're all praying, and there was a guy saying, "Shut up." And then when we're praying, we say, and we pray for him too, Lord, that guy over there. We're just, you know, asking God to move. And that's a powerful thing because that's what I learned, just to pray in the midst of all the madness of happening around us, you know, and asking God to help us. Even my phone calls to home were a lot different because before I got saved, I would call home and I would ask my mom, hey, put my radio on. I want to hear my radio. You know, I didn't even say like, how you doing, Mom? Or how's Dad? How's the family? No, I was selfish. But when I got saved, I started saying, hey, Mom, how you doing? And I would even God would show me things about my family, my grandmother, my mom's mom. God put in my heart, you know, something in urgency to tell my Mom, Grandma, have the church go visit Grandma. Have Victory Outreach go visit Grandma, because I heard about a sister in the church that visits the elderly, and she went and prayed for my grandmother, and she got saved at that time. And I thank God for that because it was a start. Like I seen God start moving in my family. And then my mom too, to see her mom get saved, because my mom she did it. She answered the prayer. She answered what I said, and it's a trick when you're obedient to God. When you I know everybody has that little nudge, and we sometimes fight it, but we gotta just push for it, you know. And I thank God for that day because it was a start in my life. I was able to stand stronger in the where I was locked up at. And then during that time too, we got blessed with some program called SAPU. It's a substance abuse program unit, and I was called to go there too. They asked a couple of us guys to go, and it was awesome because God allowed us to separate ourselves, to be at a place. It wasn't a Christian thing, but it was like God was still separating us to be, trying to get a hold of who He is, you know, for me. And I thank God because I made friends there, some enemies too, but we made amends and everything, and got, you know, closer, and then we went back to Banning and finished our time there. But I thank God, like, I still got hit over there at Banning though, because, you know, the flesh is weak. I started getting caught up and hanging out with the guys. We started doing some drugs in one of the barracks, and then that night I was tripping out. I was like, "What am I doing? I'm locked up and partying. That's dumb, you know. What am I doing here?" You know. I repented to the Lord. So I thank God for that He's able to be the God of the second chances, you know, and even more than that, of other chances that you ask. You know, don't ever give up on God, because He's able, and He helped me in there that day, and He really touched my heart that day that He was able to deliver me. And I thank God that day that I came out. Later on, my mom would come and visit me. A couple friends would write me, but the day I got out, my mom had came pick me up, and before I even walked over that threshold, I told myself, you know what? I told myself, I'm going to serve the Lord Jesus. And before I even walked out, I said that. I walked over, and I was glad I did that, because when I got home, the homies came over right away with a PCP. And I'm not downing them or nothing. They're just homies. That's what we do. You know, when we're homies, your homies come and party with you. That's the love that the homies do when they party with us, even with a beer or whatever. But I was changed. Jesus came in my life, and I was able to tell him, you know what? No, I'm saved now. I'm saved in the Lord Jesus. And he called me a couple names, you know, Chavala, this and that. But I just I took out. I go, what? I thought, you know, you think your homies are gonna say, hey, that's good. No, they want to party. But I thank God I still stuck my ground, and I still stood my ground. And I thank God because of that day, I was able to stand stronger. And then I was able to start going to the neighborhood and go to the streets. I did go by myself to the neighborhood and start going to different places, but I had a couple of temptations because of the weed and all that. And I didn't do it, but I started getting whoa, it smells good, you know. Like nowadays it's all over us, all around us, but you just got to stand firm. But I thank God I stuck it out, and I started meeting other beloveds and believers that were able to go with me, not to go alone out there to reach the people and to touch the community, and really going out there strong, like even with a bullhorn, shouting to people, "Hey, Jesus loves you!" Chasing everybody down, telling them to come to church, asking God to touch their lives, and even taking a lot of them to church, and then really like thanking God that they even jumped in the car to go, and sometimes jumping out of the car too, but trying to get them back in. But I thank God I was able to do that, and it was a blessing just being able to reach my community, and not only my community but around all the neighborhoods too, because I had friends and family all around the neighborhoods, not only CB but Eastside, Orlanza, La Sierra, because I just love the people wherever I go, and I was able to just start hey, come on to go to church, because sometimes people wouldn't go and I would have to go somewhere else. I'll go over here and invite somebody in, and even my primas were all going, and I really liked that. It was a blessing. That's when the church was at Wallace Street over in the Rubidoux. But even before that happened, when I ended up in Rubidoux, I want to share that when I got out, I was asking God, what do I need to go to somewhere where I need to learn their word. And I went back to St. Anthony's Church where I started, and I got blessed there because it was nice because I had my Bible, but I was like tripping out. I was like, oh, because we still stand up and do the prayers and all that. And I was just, it was a blessing still. I'm not downing it. It was nice. It was a reverence to the Lord, to God, but I just felt that I kept asking God, is this where you want me to be at, God? Is this where I need to be at? And I went for a little bit, and I kept pushing. I went to another church. It's called Christian Center right there on Madison Street. Powerful church too, but this church was preaching about hellfire. Like, if you don't get right, you're gonna go to hell. And I was like, wow, I was like, this is heavy, but I liked it though because it was the truth. It was not no lie. And I thank God because I was able to learn the word there. And I started going with my friend David Rivera there. He was a good friend. He went to be with the Lord. He passed. But I wanted to share too. I kept going to another church here. I went to Harvard. I remember one time I did fall. I did fall at a time, and I had a friend that I was locked up with, and I had told him, hey, when you get out, we'll drink. And so I was saved already for a while, for like at least a year or two, or maybe less than a year. And what happened was he got out, and I go, okay. We hung out and we drank, and it was crazy because we drove around, and we ended up by my church at Victory Outreach. That's when I was at Victory Outreach back then. And I still am there now, but I remember being in the parking lot, just looking at the church with a beer in my hand, like looking and just knowing I want to be in there, but I was doing what I was doing. It was a heavy thing, and I just let it go after that. Going, you know what? I started getting kind of caught up with the drinking and all that. I started doing speed, and then I remember later on, because I was still living at home with my parents, and I remember that room I had. I just came to a place where I just said, Lord, you know what? I'm tired of this. I was getting caught up in speed real bad, and I had a pipe and I had it in my hand, and I asked God. I go, Lord, I know you're able, and I just pray you deliver me from this. And that moment, He delivered me. And like that, it was done. No more crystal meth, no more. I thank God for that because He's able. You just have to ask Him and believe what you're saying. You can't be all double-minded in your thoughts or your ways and your prayer. You got to ask God, and He delivered me. I haven't used since that day. I have not used drugs since I was 27 years old, man. I thank God for that, and I haven't drank either. I don't want to drink no more, nothing no more. No weed, no nothing. And I thank God He's kept me all this time, and like I was saying about just rededicate your life. I know I did, and I thank God for that because He was able to help me to stand firm in the Word and to read. And I started thanking God more because my pastor at that time was Tomas Espinoza at Victory Outreach. That's where I ended up at. Like, I know one day I ended up there because I remember I was saying, like, Lord, is this the place? Is this the place? I went to a lot of churches. Even I remember when I was still backsliding, I went to Harvest one time, and I was all hungover, wetting my face in the restroom, trying to hear the word, because I still wanted God, even though I was struggling. And but I thank God I kept pushing myself. You got to push yourself. But back to when I was at the outreach, I started getting involved with the school ministry back then, and it really helped me because my pastor at that time was Vince Moreno. He was sharing with everybody about, hey, I'm going to teach a class at the school ministry. He was all excited. It was called The Life of King David. Powerful message about the life of King David, because it's about being in a place where your heart, you're humble, and you're looking to God. You know that you need God. And I thank God for that message because it helped me, because by going to that school ministry, I started reading my word more. I started studying more, started being a man of the word, and I couldn't stop there. I started going more and more. And the next class, New Testament survey, Old Testament survey, different classes, and trusting God, going like twice a week, and I thank God for the school ministry. It helped me a lot in my life because if you know, I thank God just for I'm standing here because of that too. And then I remember one time too, I told my pastor one time I wanted to go to the men's home. That was Pastor Vince Moreno, and he told me no. He goes, "You're not going to the home," because I was delivered from drugs already. But he goes, "You're going to children's ministry." So at that time I was in children's ministry, and it was crazy because I was like 3 and 4 year olds back then, and I was like trying to, like, Lord, what's going on here? What's going on here? And I thank God for that because it taught me a lot of humbleness. You know, to be humble and to be as those children. The Bible says to come as that childlike faith into Him and to trust Him for all, for everything, because that's how children are. They trust their parents, they trust God, they just trust. And I thank God for that because I was able to learn that and to go to the Lord and ask for His help and everything. And I thank God for that day when the pastor, he's seen that God used him to do that for me, and it helped me stay faithful in church because I had to be on my calendar, I had to be there on certain days, which was every day, and being on time and teaching and getting involved. Another thing too, I thank God for the sisters in the church, the older sisters, the grandmas in the church. Thank God for them because you know what? Those sisters taught me to pray. Because I remember we had a group that met on Wednesdays called Love Circle. And that's what it was about. It was a circle of love. You know, we just shared the word, and then we shared needs. Like, hey, I'm feeling sad, or you know, I did this, and we would pray for one another and trust God for the prayer. You know. So those things are powerful. Like my church, you know, at that time we had something every day: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and start over on Sunday. And I remember my mom was tripping out too at that time because she was like, "You're at church every day," and I go, "Mom, I partied every day, you know, so I need church every day." And I thank God for sharing that with her because I know my mom later on got saved, and she started going on her own to church, a church called Jesus is Lord Ministry, and I thank God for her getting the seed planted in her heart. And even our church, she visited our church too. And I thank God for just even for my grandmother, like I said earlier, she got saved. And later on at a time, my grandfather, my dad's dad, got saved because he had ended up getting cancer and moved in with us. And I kept asking him to go to church. And one day he said, yeah, and he went. And then he asked the Lord in his life. And he was 83 at that time when he got saved. That's a miracle that, you know, at his age, you know, and that shows, you know, any age you can ask the Lord, you know, don't think that you're too old to get saved or whatever. Don't let nothing hold you back from getting saved. But I thank God, like as I said, that I was going to the church and involved with the children's ministry and Sundays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, getting in follow-up ministry, just saying yes all the time. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. And I thank God, and you know, to this day, you know, I've been just still in the Victory Outreach Riverside, and right now I just thank God for everything He's done in my life and all He's going to do with our future and with even whatever He has ahead for us, with God willing. Amen. God bless you. It's a trip about the neighborhood stuff because you know I really.
All right, everybody.
Sorry.
That was Brother Rudy and Sister Jackie sharing their testimony. Now they're going to come together and share their testimony of how they met and everything the Lord's done in their life. Amen. So I'm going to cut this off, and there's going to be a part 2 because I don't want this to go silent on us. So just click on part 2.